Hello, welcome back to Out on That Line podcast. We have another album review for you this week, and we are going to talk Charli, folks. Don't worry. We know that album came out. You were banging down our door, yelling at us that this album was going to come out. My name is Jeff. I'm here with my co-host, as always, Alex. How you doing this week?
Jeff, I don't know about you, but it's hot in this basement, and my heights are wuthering. How are you doing?
Do you want to be Heathcliff or what's the other one? Catherine?
Yeah, I think she goes by Kathy.
I don't know. Kathy. Yes. Do you want to be Heathcliff or Kathy for this one?
I think I want to be Edgar.
Okay.
Edgar the Cook.
Okay, the undersold part of the whole storyline, I think.
So listen, this is going to come up in the episode. What Emerald Fennell does with the remake, have you seen it?
No.
Okay.
No.
Book purists are not going to be happy. Let's just put it that way. I am not one of them. I actually found Wuthering Heights to be a very hard read and don't have like the best recall on it. And then I went to see the movie and I'm like, there's like a whole chunk of the second part of the book that's like missing. And this is also like a weird, inappropriately horny, but very stylish, but like adaptation that kind of misses the mark, which I think makes it terribly interesting in the context of this soundtrack, this companion that we got from Charli XCX. So the movie was a strange experience. Like there's a character that I vaguely remember from the books was like terribly abused, was caught in like an abusive domestic situation, which in the movie they turn into a BDSM type relationship where she gets treated literally like a dog, but she enjoys it. I always think of Laszlo Cravensworth. Yeah. I'm surrounded by chaps, but I enjoy it. It's strange decision. There were a lot of like strange additions and erasures to this. I guess the genre is called bodice rippers. You know what I mean? Like the super horny, romantic, literary bodice ripper. And that's so evocative. And I think Charli XCX's album, this concept album, companion piece, soundtrack, whatever we're going to call it, really kind of reflects those qualities and is very cinematic and very like dark and Baroque and unmistakably Charli. I'm not sure that it all works for me, but it is definitely interesting.
Yes, and I think that is more what I take from it. It's more interesting than I found it to be like moving or you know, a really high level on the Charli ranking list for albums. You know, like I remember when we first reviewed Brad, I was not like super crazy about it. You know, there was a lot of hits for it, but there were definitely a lot of misses. Now, I don't know that there was really any misses on this album for me, but there really weren't any hits. Like this felt very conceptual and almost like I wasn't supposed to take it as an album that was supposed to have some bangers on it, you know, like you would expect from Charli XCX. So I think when you set those sort of expectations aside, I think it was very successful in exactly what she was trying to do, because knowing that it was associated with Wuthering Heights, I think you're able to really kind of feel that throughout the album, you know, and it definitely, like you said, does sound like Charli, but a very different sort of Charli. It sounds like Charli from this era if she were to have existed then.
Yeah, and it has more in common coming off the heels of Brat. This has more in common with I want to say like 2013. I might be totally wrong. But True Romance. I don't know when that came out, but I do remember listening. Yeah, 2013. It kind of has more in common with that than it certainly does with Brat. And Brat is something that grew on me a lot. And like you said, I think, you know, Brat Summer, Brat, that green and black font aesthetic, like it took over for a while. And there was a lot behind like the Charli XCX hype train. So the good news with this is there's nothing that would like burst that bubble or derail the mystique in any way. It's definitely short enough that it's not a waste of your time to check it out. There are some parts that felt more interlude than maybe was necessary on something that's that short. But I think it's like you said, it is supposed to be conceptual, inspired by the script for this movie. Something I think that Charli XCX could sink her teeth into while she's on tour for Brat, because all this was being written on the tour. Um, and I'm always about an artist taking a hard left turn into a different genre. So like you've got the dance banger factory aspect of Charli XCX, getting into more like synth pop and kind of like alt baroque kind of pop and rock. When you kick off your album with a member of the Velvet Underground, I'm going to die in this house.
Yeah.
That was the one thing that was kind of disappointing, was that was really funky and artistic. And before I really knew what was happening, I'm like, oh, this feels like something David Byrne would do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then there
like,
was,
oh, it's Sean Cale.
You got nothing like that ever again.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. So that the I think I'm gonna die in this house line, when I was telling you before about Quinn Hughes, the hockey player, like people saying that he sees ghosts. There's a lot of TikToks and like Instagram videos of like just kind of close-ups of his face just staring into nothing with that sound. Like, I think I'm gonna die in this house. Like just very, very creepy. And that's where the whole like, oh, he's a reincarnated Victorian child that sees all his friends, but only their ghosts.
See, and that sounds like a more fun movie than the Wuthering Heights adaptation, but neither here nor there. Yeah, it sets a conceptual expectation that I thought would get carried through, where it would be almost a little more character based. And I haven't referenced this in a while. Not character based like Grandpa's Spooky Halloween Party by Miley Cyrus and Billy Idol. Sometimes my thoughts are violent. Like, it didn't get like stupid, morons beating the beat up house party. That song is so atrocious. It never like lopped over into self parody. It wasn't twee like something. I love David Byrne, but like David Byrne can be a little twee sometimes. And so it never like fumbled. It didn't. I guess I would rather have them make like that. Charli XCX make that like one really kind of very artistic, very conceptual, arresting piece at the start, and then not like try to keep doing it and forcing it if she couldn't do it and didn't have an idea for it, because it would have totally fallen on its face.
Yeah.
The thing with David Byrne is he has buy-in from himself, and the people he works with, he's got buy-in from them. TBD what would happen if Charli had not really had that and taken this to its logical conclusion. But the strength of House is such that like the only ones that ever like really came close for me, Wall of Sound is good. I really like Dying for You. Chains of Love is really good.
Yes.
I was very disappointed by Eyes of the World featuring Sky Ferrer, because it was not a cover of the Grateful Dead song. Very disappointed.
So Chains of Love I really liked, and I'm wondering if she meant for that, because the Kate Bush album that she did, Wuthering Heights, that the song is like one of her most famous ones other than Running Up That Hill, was called Hounds of Love. So I'm wondering if this was like a little nod from Charli to have a song of like of love, and have it be associated with the Wuthering Heights.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know.
Because that Kate Bush album is like very associated with the movie or with the book.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that. I have a big Kate Bush blind spot.
That's fine. We don't need to delve that deeply into Kate Bush. When Stranger Things chose that as like the song for that gets Max out of the dark place or out of the upside down, whatever the headspace is, I was like, you couldn't have picked anything else from that era but Kate Bush. Like, just honestly, just have never been able to stand Kate Bush. That might be a hot take, and I know this is a Charli XCX episode, and I don't know how we ended up here, but I feel like there's probably a lot of people that listen to this podcast that do love Kate Bush, and they're not going to be happy about hearing that. But I hate it. I'm just going to put it out there. I hate it.
I don't disagree. And again, not again, I haven't dived straight deep into the bush, but I I find running up that hill, like as much as I love dark wave and all that kind of, I love that genre. That song is fucking annoying and meme to death, obviously because of Stranger Things. Much in the same way that a great song, Silver Springs, was meme to death on
Oh
its
yeah.
own, and then they added Piano Man onto it. You
Yeah.
have no idea how many times I've heard, and probably will be for life. Time
Time
casts a
casts a
spell
spell
on
on
you.
you.
I want to drop kick a puppy in the fucking head whenever I hear that. If I never hear it again, it will be too soon. Fucking absolutely hate it. How did we get here from Kate Bush to Charlie XCX? I think, quite frankly, it's a product. I'll be totally honest. I don't think there's a ton of meat on the bone for this. It is good. It is good. It's not great. It's not career ending. It's not a misstep. It's a foray into something that I think she made really exciting,
Mhm.
but it didn't maybe go as far as I would have liked it to have gone, especially on the heels of Brat. Like, you got all these wonderful like synth elements and string elements, and you're playing with like spooky sound textures, and the production on this is fucking incredible. It's great. It's a masterclass. It's mixed and mastered perfectly, and there's like, it's everything's there. It's just like, you kick the door in with a hell of an opening line, and then everything after that is like, yeah, it's good, but it doesn't quite meet the promise of the premise when it needs to. So I definitely thought it was interesting, and I thought there were like a lot of great elements to it. It's not necessarily like essential. I don't want to claim to be the Charlie XCX expert in the
Mhm.
room, but I wouldn't call it like essential Charlie XCX in the grand scheme of things.
No, I would say this one falls for me, if like True Romance and the self-titled Charlie and like Crash and Brat, if those are her versions of like Darkness on the Edge of Town or Born in the USA or Born to Run, if those are her versions of like when people look back at Charlie's career of like those are the albums they're going to pick, I feel like Wuthering Heights, this album is going to be like Tunnel of Love or Working on a Dream, where there's still like the Bruce fanatics are going to still love it, but I don't think anybody outside of Bruce fanatics are even going to remember that those albums existed. Just like I think anybody outside of like real deal Charlie XCX fans, I don't think are ever going to remember. There's probably a lot of people that don't even know this album even exists, to be honest with you, because I've seen, I think because I listen to quite a bit of Charlie XCX, whether it's stuff that I put on or certainly what my wife puts on or her family puts on, like Charlie XCX is around and played a lot in my life. And this album I knew was coming out, but I remember Brat like took over the world. And while I know this Wuthering Heights movie has been pretty hyped, I feel like this is very much riding in kind of a slipstream behind that, where people that are excited about that movie probably know about this album. And Charlie XCX fans probably know about this album, but this is not reaching out with its tentacles the same way Brat did or Crash did when that came out. I think for me, this is going to be a 6 out of 10. And definitely it's better, if I consider 5 like average or okay album, like a 6 for me is going to be something that I enjoyed listening to, but there was nothing about it that got me very excited.
Yeah, nothing in here gives the old whoa boner that we've talked about in the
Yeah.
past. I think it's unfortunate. There's a lot of discourse around Emerald Fennel and what you can say and what you can't say. Like, don't call her a Nepo baby, even though her dad was like personal jeweler to the stars.
Mhm.
Don't call her untalented and her ideas not interesting and her execution half baked, and relying on the splendor of the cinematographer to really sell crap like Saltburn. Not that that's how I feel about any of the works of Emerald Fennel. It's
also
one of
with
those.
also with Jacob Elordi. Weird.
Yes, Lordy, Jacob
Mhm.
Elordi. And Barry Keoghan drinks his bathwater, and I do not remember if there was a little.
And something else.
Yeah, was there a little oyster in there? I forget.
There was, yeah, that's what he was going for. I don't know if there was
Yeah.
one there, but that was the reason for the mission.
But this is the thing is yeah, the reason for the season.
Yeah.
The like he gives himself Red Wings in that movie. He ends the movie dancing around with his Willis and Doodleberries slapping around. None of which I have a problem. I'm not a prude. I'm not like that doesn't belong in a movie as long as there's a point. And I'm like, I just think Emerald Fennel is like permanently horny and kind of creates these horn dog scapes, which is like fine if that's what for the people that are into that kind of thing, that's the kind of thing they're into. But I don't think it necessarily makes interesting movies. Like if you want to lend your talents to the Bodice Ripper, I would suggest that she like rather than make a radical reinterpretation of Wuthering Heights that's not based on anything that's in there. You know what I mean? Like if it was the kind of like subject matter where you look and you're like, oh, there's a subtext of sexual repression, or I can like really draw the racism in this, the racial commentary in this out and like really expose that. Like if that's there, great. I don't really see Wuthering Heights as being a jumping off for like softcore poem for Margot Robbie, you know, buffing the old garbanzo bean on the edge of a cliff because she's sad and confused and horny, which happens in the movie. I think, unfortunately, I don't like Emerald Fennel's movies. I don't have anything against the person. I just don't think her movies are good. And Wuthering Heights, I think, is like it's a little better than Saltburn, which isn't saying much. So there's my mini review of the movie. All of which is to say it's disappointing that I mean, whatever wherever your inspiration comes from, I love crap too. But if it was enough to inspire Charli XCX to try something like this, which I wouldn't say this is necessarily like super duper soundtrack to Horn Dog, but if it inspired her, that's great. If it made her try something new, that's even better. It's just unfortunate that this isn't attached to a stronger movie like Saturday Night Fever and the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack. Those are their destinies were always intertwined and married to one another and stands the test of time because they back each other up. This is like a good album inspired by a pretty fucking dog shit movie. So like trying to evaluate the album on its own and to be generous, I think production masterclass, kudos for trying something different. Would love to see this kind of stuff revisited in the future. Hope she fell in love with like the synth and the Baroque. She's really good at it. I will give this the benefit of the doubt with a 7 out of 10.
Okay. I think 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10, probably not 6, 7, probably not what she was going for.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to point out too, when you were talking about how like horny that movie was, I have also I told Marla, wife of the pod, this a couple weeks ago when we first saw, like when one of us first noticed the ads for it, or like when we talked about it, right? And I was like, I think this is going to be this. I would hate to be Margot Robbie's husband, knowing that she's doing this movie with Jacob Elordi, and to see it like the press tour they were doing and stuff like that. And then right after this movie has come out, there all of a sudden a bunch of stories about how much Margot Robbie and her husband love each other, and that they've never been more in love, and all this stuff. And I'm like, was I right? I think I was right.
Yeah, you know, I think Margot might have a little bit of a pussy brat back at home. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Alex, where can people find our other reviews of Charli XCX amongst other artists?
Well, amongst the many, many other artists that have appeared on this show, you'll find another Charli XCX episode, believe it or not. This podcast has been going for years, literal years. To say that we have left a treasure trove would be like saying that the sun will come out tomorrow. These are commonly known, commonly accepted inevitabilities. There is entertainment value in Out on That Line. There is death. There is taxes. There is a standard of excellence on YouTube. Finally, back again. Just when you thought that the art form could not sink any lower, we found a way to really subvert your expectations. And tickle your desires in a pleasingly consensual way at youtube.com/C/out on that line. Folks, how many times do we have to invite you to the party before you RSVP will attend? Okay? I don't know how many more evites and suggestions and Facebook pokes and other outdated modes of trying to get your attention I have to do before you'll do the right thing and subscribe to the channel. You will click the thumbs up to let us know you like it. And of course, you will turn your notifications on by clicking the little bell so that when we come up with new stuff, ding dong, bing bong, you're the first person to hear about it, potentially. You know? And tell us how that makes you feel in the comments. Gang, the comments are so important to the almighty algorithm, okay? Feed the kitty and the kitty feeds you. Write whatever hoves in your little brain. Keep it PG-13 and we'll love you for it forever. So much to offer, so much to see here, so much to do at youtube.com/C/out on that line. Also, I guess if you're watching this on YouTube, we should plug that we're on Spotify. Just search Out on That Line. I've started putting the videos on there. Pretty good, pretty damn good, lads. So what the fuck are you waiting for? youtube.com/C/out on that line and now on Spotify.
Hell yeah, brother. Until next time.